Hey everybody, this is Travis with Author Eki again. Today we're kind of having a late afternoon. At my age, it's almost late night. So we're going to have a little talk with Damion here. Disclosure, he works with my son in the Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia area. And he wrote a great book, Reality Crash. So he's going to talk about the book. I want him to, introduce himself, just have a very free flow conversation. But I want to thank you for taking the time and welcome to Author Eke. David, go ahead, tell us about yourself, the book.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. This is really awesome. How do I begin? I've been in love with science fiction for as long as I can remember. Star Wars, E.T. were two of my first sci-fi movies I saw when I was like 4. So if that puts an age on me, there you go. And then ever since then, like I've always been kind of like obsessed with like anything science fiction related, anime related. I go between mangas, comics. I grew up reading comics with my father. That was kind of like our pastime thing to do. So it kind of all just kind of culminated into the book that I wrote. I guess Reality Crash kind of came to me like in a dream, and I guess some people have those moments.
Epiphany.
It was a 6-year experiment, basically. I got a job at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and as a contractor with SAIC. Shortly after my firstborn was born, I had this like really awesome dream, and I don't know what I was watching, what I ate, whatever, but it dealt with like a lot of concentric circles and sitting outside of time and all this other stuff. So, like I said, I've watched a lot of stuff.
Can I preface this? He works for the government, so he does do drug tests. We want to preface that with everybody, so don't think he's on some kind of something. This is straight from the soul here.
They don't use me for experiments. That's what I'm supposed to say. Are we good?
You're good.
No, and like that book right there was like 3 different iterations, and then until my last child that was born in 2015, it just kind of hit me. My wife was asleep, she was in the bassinet, and I had a laptop in front of me, and I was just gonna play some games or whatever, and then the story just kind of kicked in, and I started pulling up all my old files and everything like that. Within I don't know, 2 or 3 hours, I already had 7,500 words done. I was flying.
That's awesome.
Absolutely flying. Like 4 chapters were done. The nurse was coming in there like, "Oh, are you working?" And I'm like, "Yeah, on my future, I'm doing a book." And they're like, "Wait, you're doing a book?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, is it about your daughter?" I'm like, "No, it's bigger than that." And they're like, "Oh, you're a terrible father. We should probably keep her."
You say, I don't know her yet, but I'll do something later.
Exactly. So I would say from 2015 to the end of or the beginning of 2017, I did a couple revisions of the book, and then finally got it published through Kindle, Amazon's Kindle.
Yep.
I forget what it's called. But I got it published, and I had been giving them out for like a couple of years, so I probably pushed out about like 100, 120 books. That's about it. I didn't know where it was going to go. I don't even know how to self-promote myself, so I was just kind of like, I did it. And so for me, that was kind of like a milestone check off. And so I felt really good about it. So I've got the second one pretty much done. So it's a follow-up. And then there's it's kind of a grandiose kind of plan. I have a backstory about the villain, and that takes like a whole book right there to explain his background and everything and why he became the way he was.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So if you need a publisher, let me know.
Oh, I definitely need one.
Well, yeah. So that's interesting. And a lot of, so it sounds like you probably didn't do an outline. You're what's called a pantser. You're a free flow of thought, right? A lot of times. And there's a lot of authors that I've talked to are like that. And, they have an epiphany or they have an idea and it just carries through to the end. But the problem is when you tell somebody you're going to write a book, if you're ever going to see them again, you've got to write that book. Right. Because they're going to come to, well, hey, what about that book? Well, it's coming. And however long it takes, it takes years or it takes months or it takes weeks or it doesn't matter. You're just right with a self-promotion perspective of when I look at authoring and books, I look at like a pie, and a pie has, you know, 3 sections in it.
Right.
The first section is the book itself. The, you know, second, probably getting it published or whatever. But the third and probably the biggest piece of that is promoting your book, because there's so many books out there. So how do you do that? And I don't know. I don't have the Rosetta Stone for that. But it is a challenge, even, you know, for established authors. So I give you kudos for just, you know, writing the book. And I know you're an Air Force veteran. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Aim high. I mean, come on. I'm in the Army and I even say that. So no, that's great. Thank you for your service. I appreciate that. So it's really interesting. So tell us a little bit about your book without giving it away, about the kind of the plot, what the premise.
So basically, family member goes missing. He has poor communication skills to begin with. So, you know, him being gone for a couple of months, maybe like a year with just a postcard is normal. But it's been about 2 years and like no word until after graduation of the main character, he receives a journal that's personalized to his uncle, to the guy that's missing. And he doesn't know what to do with it. He looks through it, a lot of scientific notation, jargon that he just doesn't understand. And he notices that somebody is following him. A couple days later, he gets a job with the same company that his uncle worked for, but he notices some shadiness going on in there. And then the story just kind of unravels from there.
Awesome. That's why I did. I took a peruse at it. Went out and bought a copy on Amazon. We'll give you a review here and this week. So no, it's a good book, and again, it is tough to write a book. I mean, to me, it is. I mean, because I don't even like to write, but I felt like I had to get something out there. So, but you do have another one in the offing.
Yeah, that one's a direct follow up to the first one. So it was supposed to be a trilogy, but then I figured I didn't want to draw it out too much, and I found a way to kind of tie it all together. And then the backstory of the villain, who's the main character, obviously in that story, it shows him from being like this really cool guy to, well, he's the villain now.
That's called high school. All the cool kids in high school turn out to be big D's later on in life.
Yeah.
From what I found. So it's other people that were the ones in the background turned out to be the successful ones.
True.
It's kind of crazy.
Picked on by the D's.
It's kind of crazy. So what do you like doing in your spare time? Well, I don't think you have any, but what do you do when you do?
So up until like the last, I guess, like 4 months, I've been working 2 full-time jobs, like we talked about earlier. But in my spare time, I'm into hip hop big time. So I MC. I used to do some club scene stuff when I was back in San Diego with Soul Entertainment. But I still do music actively all the time. So I'm with a group called Inverse Tangent. So
plug. What's the website? What's the website? They got a website?
Oh, we don't have one yet, but I can definitely give you links to all the different artists.
Heck yeah. Come on.
Let's see, and then game design also. So I did 2 games already on my own, and I'm just a big gamer. So my kids love games. See the arcade unit in the background here. There's another one.
I see that.
And there's another one over here. I love every aspect about gaming. It's the only thing that makes me feel calm in the midst of a stressful situation. So
exactly.
So music, gaming, writing, and eating. That's what I like to do.
Awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to put the priority, but that's not wrong with that. Nothing at all. And so tell folks, so what you can about your job, because I know my son and you do some pretty cool stuff. I don't know what, or I would have black cars out in front of my house, which I'm surprised I don't have already.
Wait, why am I being pulled away slowly?
Yeah.
Hey, no. So basically, like with NGA, I just how do I say this? I observe and report.
Well, so my book, my first book and my
Yeah.
second book, the first book deals with the NGA and about
Oh,
satellite imagery and some technology that I come up with in the book about being able to see things in pipelines,
yes.
friction, what's in it, what's the speed, what's the velocity, what's something weighed by Isaac Newton's second principle, right? So based on how much. So yeah, so I mean I've done like a lot of research on this stuff. So my books actually kind of take place around the NGA. And the first book was actually dedicated to the NGA.
Was that the because I was looking at your
Planes
site?
of Deception.
Yes. So with Petrov, and the Russian, I forget what his position was, but yeah, I was like, because the story was like revolving around like green energy grids
Yes.
act and everything, and I was like, oh, okay, that kind of seems like that might actually happen in a couple of years. So I'm like, maybe we should read his book to make sure we have some like some.
I should work as a futurist. I should work as a futurist
Yeah,
for the NGA NRO or something. But you have some other cool some other cool things you do from when your second job and your other stuff you do.
Yeah, so with the Library of Congress and United States Capitol Police over there, I'm pretty much over at the USCP. I'm their test lab admin over there. So I build and set up VMs for whatever the internal customer needs. Over at the Library of Congress, I was their sysadmin, network admin guy, and then they got like a full staff over there. So I provide more of a tier 3 support assistance. Like if there's something they can't figure out, they need help, whatever like that, they give me a call. I get online, I remote in, whatever like that, help them troubleshoot things out, and then we just get it done. That's pretty much my day to day.
Yeah, so again, that's interesting because I've talked to a lot of authors, and they all have day jobs, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, everybody can't be a Tom Clancy or Clive Cussler or whoever, right? Whoever you like. So everybody, but it's fascinating what the folks do, and then still have the time to write a book, have a family, write a book, have a job, because the passion's there to be able to do it, and they have a story in their head that they believe they need to be able to get out.
Yeah,
that other people would enjoy.
Yeah, most definitely. And it was a lot easier to write when it was only 2 small infants and a wife and only one job at the time.
Yeah.
But now trying to get the second book done, and then like I have music projects, and then and so it's just and then work, and it's just like, where do you eat, where do you sleep, where do you have time to like decompress? It gets a little rough, and it does impede the workflow sometimes.
Of course.
But it is what it is. Eventually it's gonna get out, and it'll be a well fought victory for me.
I mean, that's everybody has their short term, mid term, long term goals, and how one supports the other and everything. But I think a lot of that probably attributed to being able to do multiple things is from a military background, because you've got to be able to eat and chew gum and walk at the same time.
Yeah.
As somebody's yelling at you to do your job, right, or something, right? So I think that comes a lot to that. Just the work ethics is a big part of that, because you wrote a book, and you're doing all these things. You're writing another book, and you really got to look from family support mechanisms. You have to look for internal support mechanisms, and then you want to be able to get the book out to the folks. So I want to show everybody again, and I bought mine on Amazon, folks. It's a I don't know how many clicks, maybe 2. Didn't take much, right? So read this book. It's a good book. It is. When I read, it's very interesting, because it's a premise of something that people go missing all the time, but what happens to them when they come back?
Yeah.
Where you're in a time warp, or you're in some kind of a space continuum or something. So it's interesting.
Yeah. Hopefully people find it to be interesting, and the science behind it also. It's science fiction science, so I mean it's
So you did your research. All authors, a tremendous amount of research goes into nonfiction.
Yeah.
Not just but nonfiction, because you have to make it believable.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I had to do. But
exactly.
A lot of it just kind of when I was writing it, and then I was like looking some of the stuff up, I was like, oh damn, so there is some kind of principle that's like what I'm writing. All right, I'm just gonna keep going.
Oh yeah,
That's what I did. So I was just like, well, damn, why didn't I choose this course of study like when I was in school? You know. So
my cousin uh read my book, the first one, and he was thinking, oh, a B-21, what is that? And then he's all, Travis made it up. And then a couple months ago, right, he's reading the newspaper about the B-21 bomber. And he goes, man, maybe he did make it up. Just got doing some research.
it's just a Google search, man. You can do it.
It's easy. It's easy. I do it all the time. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff out there. But yeah, no, that's interesting. And again, you know, he's doing this with a family and different jobs. So I really, you know, go out, check this book out. And when you check it out, leave a review, because some of the most important things you can do on Amazon to assist the author is to review a book, because that's what helps it move up and down in rankings, not only just people buying it, but doing that. So, you know, we got summer coming up, we got Easter holidays. I'm getting on a plane, I'm taking it with me. So, you know, take some time and support folks that don't have a TV show to support their books on, or a million Twitter followers, right? This actually grassroots of folks going out there and helping authors become successful.
Yeah, thanks, man. I got a great support system at home. My wife,
Yeah.
She helped me like spell check, you know, everything. We went through like every page. Like I said, that was like that final third iteration is like fourth variant of that third iteration.
Yeah.
So we went through each page probably like 4 times.
Oh yeah.
And you know, just because like I didn't go to school, you know, for this stuff. So it's like, you know, like learning how to structure out the paragraphs and everything. Mm-hmm. It was a lot. It was, you know,
it was a lot.
Yeah.
I know. I have 2 daughters, and I'll run the books by them, and I don't run anything through Tyler before the book is done, because I just don't want any collateral damage.
Right.
I'll let him look at it when it's done, because he goes, yeah, well, hey, you know. But yeah, I don't send anything through him at all, because some of the stuff that I make up in my mind, because I have a pretty crazy imagination. And if I did something like, I'm in the software business. So if I'm designing software, I'd want it to do this. I'd want it to look like this. I'd want the UI to do what I wanted it to do based on the functionality that I want. And that's how I build it into the books. So yeah, I get the technology. And VM, by the way, that's VMware. That's an image, a hyper image or whatever. Not a real server. So folks out there, do a search on VMware. Hypervisor.
Plug out the VMware now. Give us free subscription to all your stuff.
10 cents for every time I say VMware. VMware. So.
Exactly.
Hey, well, man, it has been a pleasure. I was looking forward to meeting you, and I'm so glad that you know, however the conversation happened with you and Tyler, that found out that you had wrote a book, and I was so interested in talking to you about that, because I find it fascinating, and I really do like helping veterans a lot, and I think it's important that we do that.
Thank you very much.
Anytime. All right. Well, it was great having you, Damon. And again, thank you for your service. Thank you for what you do. And keep on writing.
I will. Absolutely. I hope to talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.